What's up? It's Old Dominion. Listen to our new album, Time, Tequila, and Therapy, featuring All I Know About Girls, Blue Jeans, and our new one, I Was on a Boat That Day, on iHeartRadio now. Hope you love it. So the album, Time, Tequila, and Therapy, was just really, it's born out of the pandemic. We were in lockdown. We had all this time on our hands, and we thought, why not go outside of Nashville and try to create something give it a little bit of time to really just ruminate and be creative. So we spent 3 weeks in Asheville, North Carolina, writing songs in the morning and recording them in the evening just to see what we came up with. And what we wound up with was 13 songs. That's Time, Tequila, and Therapy.
Why Are You Still Here is a song, and actually a few weeks, I think about a month before we went out to Asheville, we got together and just jammed together really in a room and just started coming up with different musical parts and recording them. And we didn't really use any of them when we went out to Asheville. Most of the songs were born in Asheville, but Why Are You Still Here? It was actually born out of a little musical part and melody that we had made in Nashville and brought there. And we just, when we started playing out, I think we got to a certain point and we started trying to rock the chorus out in a sort of Coldplay way. And then Shane got there that day, and we all sort of huddled back up in the room and started writing the lyrics and just started crafting out where the chorus went. And that's one of my favorite songs on the album. Hawaii was really cool. It was cool. I was watching back the footage of like the genesis of that. And Kelsey, who works on our crew, she was there cooking meals the whole time we were at the studio, cooking these amazing meals. And she was cooking a Hawaiian meal that day. And it was funny. We were just sitting there and you were like, we should go back to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then it was like the conversation just started of like, wouldn't it be cool to write a Hawaii song? And that little lick thing that I had on the resonator, I was like, roles reverse. Usually you're the one that goes, I have a title that fits that. But I was like, I think I have this guitar thing I was playing. And it just started coming out. And I think at first we were like, in my mind anyway, thinking like, oh, does that justify a whole song writing about Hawaii? But it just kept coming out and sounding so cool, and we just went for it. We thought, you know what, why don't we just go for it and write this whole Hawaiian themed song and even try to record it that way. And the funny thing about the song was we got done writing it and we weren't really sure, like, is this really commercial?
Yeah, we all felt the same thing, like, Hawaii, who's going to care?
Yeah, and we didn't record it at first. We sort of put it aside and worked on something else, and then we came back to it, and Shane was like, really, are you guys not even going to try Hawaii? So we just sat down, and Brad made that little loop on the ukulele, and you found that drum sound. And when we kicked into the groove, instantaneously, we were like, oh man, this sounds amazing. And just really happy with how it ended up sounding.
I don't remember who had that title, Walk on Whiskey.
It was Josh.
Josh Osborne, songwriter extraordinaire, apparently had that title, which he typically does. He's a really great songwriter. But that's just one of those things. I feel like that's a title you're like, how come we haven't written that yet? It's just really familiar sounding and such a country thing. And that was really fun for us to kind of explore those really country like images, like swinging doors and honky tonks and things like that we've never really gotten into as a band, but they are a part of our makeup. Listening to old 90s country and all the like outlaw country, even though it doesn't sound like that, lyrically we got to kind of explore that a little bit. All I Know About Girls is the last song we wrote of the whole trip. It's one of those days where we're kind of dragging, we're tired at this point, just limping across the finish line, and Brad had this little guitar lick that he was playing, as he does sometimes, and it sparks the last bit of inspiration that you have in there, and we started kind of riffing on that idea, All I Know About Girls, and it's really nothing. Ladies are mysteries, but or either that or we're just dumb. So that's what that song is. There was no title for this one, I don't believe. I think we were just kind of writing, right?
Yeah.
And we had all those like cool phrases like, lost you like car keys, and we were just kind of compiling a bunch of those, and it finally landed on You Fit Me Like Blue Jeans.
Yeah, I always call it the honeybee, Blake Shelton's Honeybee.
Yeah.
It's like they just called it the last thing that they landed.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I remember when that Blue Jeans line showed up, that was definitely the title. Everyone kind of lit up in the room. This is it.
Solid country title. No Hard Feelings was a title that I have had, I'd had for probably a year or whatever, just carrying it around. It's something you hear people say. Those are typically the ones that catch my ear is, you hear people say it throughout their daily lives, saying no hard feelings. And I just thought that seems like an interesting idea. I didn't know where it would go, but I knew my friends would help me get there. So we sat down and what we got was, a breakup song about someone that's trying to move through it and just, all the stages of grief really that you have to go through till you get to the point where you truly have no hard feelings and you can say, I want you to be happy. I love you. I wish it was me. Do I wish it was me?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. But it's not. I got no hard feelings. Lonely Side of Town. The inspiration for that, again, I believe was Mr. Josh Osborne.
Yeah.
I think he had that title and he was singing it to us. And he's so good at, Josh has been around us for, I don't know, since we had no success whatsoever. So, basically decades we've been friends with Josh. And he knows us so well and he knows what's going to speak to us. So I know he saves ideas and melodies and things to bring to us when he's going to write. With us. And that one, I know he was he called me and was so excited about it when he thought of it. So I'm so grateful that he didn't give it to someone else because anyone else could have had a hit with Josh and that title. So, but it just kind of was one of those things where we wrote it out and that was one where Brad was over here working on the verses while we were over here working on the choruses. And then we all sort of met in the middle and had a song and went and recorded it. And then yada, 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 Gladys Knight appears on it.
I was on a boat that day. That's a title that has been kicking around since the days of Break Up With Him. We actually started working on it a little bit during the writing of Break Up With Him. And just never finished it. Kept trying. And then finally, 8 years later, it stewed in the pot for long enough. It was ready to go. So we tackled it that day, and it was done pretty quick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, it's just another Old Dominion sad song to a happy beat. Drinking My Feelings was your title, right?
It was a title. I mean, that's another thing. You hear people say they're eating their feelings or drinking their feelings, and it just felt like a fun, kind of song with a wink. And, I think we do that really well. This band. We always like to have a little wink in our music. So that just seemed like a really fun one to kind of dive into. And it wound up being like a math problem. I remember trying to get that phrasing down and down and jug and shotgun and nip and dip. I mean, it was just very mathematic writing session, which normally doesn't happen, but really fun song.
Something's the Same About You was a title that Whit had. It was a complete joke. I mean, we were never planning on actually writing it. We were always joking about what if you wrote a song that way.
Because what a ridiculous thing to say.
Something the same about you. Yeah. But that's also part of the fun of this band in just writing with each other is sometimes you have a puzzle and you go, how could we actually turn that into something that makes sense? And so you just start talking it out. What could that be? And then you just sort of chase that rabbit down the trail until you end up at the end of the song. So it was really fun. I'm glad that you threw that out there jokingly.
Another joke title our buddy Whit over here had was "I Want to Live in a House with You Forever."
Isn't that just funny?
Yeah, it's funny. That came from honestly Whit making fun of a particular country music song that we won't divulge, but he didn't care for it too much.
A little idealistic, I thought. I thought the narrative was a little far-fetched.
Yeah, so he proposed this song, "I Want to Live in a House with You Forever," with hate in his heart for that song. But we actually turned it into a sweet song. And the whole time we were writing it, unbeknownst to Whit, he thought we were writing this super sarcastic, angry song. But we actually wrote a really sweet song, and he was disappointed to find out that it's actually kind of fun and not angry at all.
I was fooled, but I like it.
Don't Forget Me. Is that your title?
No.
Is that Jenkins?
Maybe Jenkins?
I
can't remember.
I don't even know if that was written from a title, to be honest.
Maybe not. Yeah. I remember, that's one that Matt Jenkins is such a great songwriter and has been such a huge part of this band, and wrote half the songs on the first album with us, and it was so cool to have him there again in the mix. And, that one, I think it was another one where we were just sort of following the song wherever it went. There was no clear objective. We were just kind of painting a picture that we weren't sure what was going to look like when it was done. And until it was done, even recording it, we didn't really know. All these different sounds and things kept coming up, and suddenly it sounds like this 80s jam, and has all these like girls just want to have fun vibes to it. Ain't Nothing Wrong with Love is the title that I've had, kind of bouncing around. I've been trying to write it actually for a couple years, and had pitched it in different writing sessions and never could, quite land it. But, it's just this whole feeling of, people fall in love and make it work all the time. So, I think there's a lot of people out there that feel like, how come it's not happening for me? So if there's nothing wrong with love, well, then it must be me. So that was sort of the sentiment behind that song, which is really kind of a sad, theme. But the way we wrote it, it's this like country rocker sort of aggressive thing, which kind of takes the edge off the sadness a little bit. So it's a really fun song.